ever look at a painting and kind of, wish you could hear it?
Hear it.
Yeah, like not just the wind in the trees if it's a landscape, but the sounds of what's actually going on, like clanging swords, people talking, the
Yeah.
the silence right before something explodes,
That's an interesting thought, to experience art with more than just your eyes.
Right. And that's exactly what we're going deep on today. It's about this guy, Ralf Graeber. He's an artist, but also a natural philosopher. But it basically means someone who studies, like, the fundamentals of reality, I guess.
Exactly, trying to understand the core of, well, everything.
And for Graeber, he's looking at reality, specifically violence, through the art of Peter Bruegel the Elder. You've probably heard of Bruegel, right? He was a Flemish painter way back in the 1500s.
Oh, yeah. Super famous for his detailed scenes, everyday life, peasants, festivals.
Exactly. But he also tackled some pretty dark stuff, like the not-so-great parts of human nature.
He wasn't afraid to show it all.
And one of his most powerful series, I think, is The Seven Deadly Sins. And we're focusing in on Ira, the one about wrath.
Yes, Ira. Lots of chaos and, well, anger in that one.
So this is where Graeber comes in. He actually uses music to reinterpret Bruegel's paintings. He creates these, what do you call, soundscapes.
Soundscapes.
Yeah, so it's like you're not just seeing that wild scene of Ira, but you're hearing the sounds of the violence that Bruegel, couldn't paint.
So like adding a soundtrack?
Kind of, but it's way more than that.
More than that.
Yeah, he's not just trying to make the sounds of a fight, He's trying to get at those inner forces that make people violent in the first place.
The psychology of it.
Right, like the sounds he uses, they could be discordant strings or metallic clangs, maybe even like distorted screaming, which,
intense.
Yeah, but it makes you feel the chaos inside both the people being violent and the people witnessing it.
It's adding a whole other dimension to the experience of the painting, right? You're not just thinking about it intellectually, you're feeling it.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more, thought-provoking, I guess. Graeber connects this 500-year-old depiction of wrath to violence today. Wars, terrorism.
He sees a through line.
Yeah, like this destructive urge is baked into humanity. It's something we still struggle with.
And his use of sound to make that connection is really key. Music can evoke such powerful feelings, sometimes even without any words. Think about, like, Penderecki's Threnody to the victims of Hiroshima.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The way those screeching violins just capture the sheer terror and despair. Music has a unique way of embodying raw emotion.
It's true. It can totally, transport you to another place, another feeling.
And that's what Graeber's doing with these soundscapes. He's not giving us answers, but he's making us feel the weight of this problem. Violence, wrath. If we can't always stop it, how do we live with it?
How do we make sense of it? Especially when, there doesn't seem to be a good reason sometimes.
Exactly. And that's something we all have to, grapple with individually and as a society.
Yeah, heavy stuff. But that's what art is for, right? To help us process these complicated things.
Absolutely. To make us think, feel, and maybe even see the world differently.
So if anyone's, curious about experiencing art through sound, I definitely recommend checking out both Bruegel's paintings and Graeber's soundscapes.
It's a unique way to understand both art and, ourselves.
You might be surprised by what you hear and what you end up feeling.
Definitely.
For those who haven't seen Bruegel's work, he was a master at capturing human behavior.
Very complex scenes, a lot going on.
Yeah, lots of detail. You could look at his paintings for hours.
Absolutely. And Ira, you really get a sense of the chaos, the violence of, wrath, right?
Right, exactly. And that's what's so interesting about what Graeber's doing.
Yeah.
He's taking this timeless theme, right? This painting's almost 500 years old?
Yeah.
But the themes, they still resonate today.
Absolutely. Senseless violence, war, terror, it's sadly...
It's still with us, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what Graeber's really grappling with.
So how can sound help us understand that, this violence?
Well, I think for Graeber, he sees music as a way to almost elevate the violence.
Elevate.
Yeah, not in a glorifying way, but take it to another level of understanding. It's like experiencing it, not just visually, but also acoustically.
Okay, so I'm looking at Ira, I'm seeing all this chaos. How does adding sound change that for me?
Well, you know how music can just change your whole mood?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
A happy song can make you want to dance.
Right.
But a sad song can make you, feel down. I think Graeber's trying to do something similar here. He's using sound to kind of shift our perception of the violence in Ira.
So it's like the violence itself is distorting, both for the people in the painting and for us looking at it.
Right, and the music is almost like another layer of distortion.
Oh, I see.
It's all about prompting us to think about it, process it, on a deeper emotional level.
That's interesting. And what really strikes me about Ira is how it captures those internal forces that violence unleashes.
Yeah, like what's happening inside a person when they commit such an act.
Exactly. And then what about the people witnessing it?
Right, how do they change?
It's disturbing to think about.
Absolutely, and I don't think Graeber's trying to justify it, but he's definitely trying to understand it.
So he's not saying violence is good,
Not at all.
but he's saying let's try to understand the forces behind it.
Right, both within individuals and in society.
And music becomes the tool for that exploration.
Yeah, I mean, music can evoke such powerful emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
Fear, anger, sadness, all of that.
And maybe by experiencing those emotions through sound, in connection with Bruegels' imagery, it helps us to understand the violence a little bit better.
Yeah, or at least grapple with it in a new way.
It's definitely a unique way to experience Ira, that's for sure.
And it's making me think, like, if I were to create a soundscape for this painting, what would I focus on?
What emotions would you try to bring out?
I think the sense of helplessness, maybe? Or the sheer terror of the victims.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. I think I'd focus on the sounds of silence, the moments after the violence has erupted. Because sometimes that silence can be even more haunting than the violence itself.
That's a really powerful thought, and I think it speaks to the lasting impact that Bruegels' Ira has, even centuries later.
Absolutely, and I think that's what Ralf Graeber is trying to tap into with his sound world.
To make us feel the weight of that violence, to make us confront its consequences.
And to remind us that even though this painting was created 500 years ago, the themes it explores are still tragically relevant today.
Exactly, and that's why I think this deep dive has been so important.
Because it's not just about art, it's about understanding ourselves, understanding the darkness that exists within us all.
And maybe, just maybe, through that understanding, we can find a way to move towards a more peaceful future.
Well said. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
All right.
If you could create a soundscape for Bruegels' Ira, what emotions would you want to evoke? What sounds would best capture the essence of this painting for you?
It's a challenging question.
It is, but it's one worth pondering.
Absolutely.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
See you then.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.